What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dbrunski here, and today in this video I'm switching gears a little bit, going to be breaking down the PC build that is behind my Diablo 2 channel. Now, honestly, I'm not the biggest computer guy ever. My best friend IRL built me this PC, and it is the only reason why I have had the moderate success on my YouTube channel to this date. It would not be possible if it was not for the effort that he took to build me what is a little bit better than a budget PC for its time. It's 2 years old now, but I have a link for his YouTube channel in the description below. My channel would not exist. It was not for the work that he put into making this PC. So if you guys could throw a sub to his channel for a little bit of support, I would really appreciate it. I am shooting for 500 plus subs on his channel after the release of this video. Now, it might be a little bit of a stretch to get that number, but I'm really hoping that you guys could show me some support by throwing him a sub. Anyways, guys, let's take a look at the PC behind my channel.
You're too late.
This was a really exciting build for me because it was for a friend who has always been really negative technology, using old brick phones forever, texting me, asking me to look stuff up for him because he had no access to internet. And well, finally he has seen the light. About 2 years ago, he bought a crappy laptop to play Diablo 2 on, and he loves that game. He's been playing it forever since it came out. Now he started making YouTube videos, and he's finally accepted that he needs a good computer to do streaming, video editing, and obviously play some of the new titles that he clearly can't right now. So having the extra monitor real estate with two 1080p monitors versus his current setup, which is a small resolution laptop screen, is going to be a huge benefit, and that's the whole reason of building this computer. So looking into the components of this build, obviously budget was in mind, but we wanted a decent computer that's going to last and is going to encode well and stream well. So these are the reasons why we went with these components. So looking into the processor, we went with the Ryzen 5 1600 because of its really good price to performance and its ability to encode and stream really well because of its 6 cores, 12 threads. Comparing it to the 1600X, it is 20% cheaper while it is only 10% less performance. For the video card, we went with the Zotac 1060 6GB version, and it has the dual fan because we didn't want to have any cooling issues with it. This computer is going to be in a hot room during the summer, and we just wanted no problems with the cooling with the capability of having a slight overclock on it. And this card came in at a really good price on a good sale compared to all of the other versions, so that's why we went with it. For the motherboard, we went with the Gigabyte Gaming 3 because it has RGB, and my friend wanted to go with a black and yellow style looking computer, so we were able to change it to just have a yellow pulse to it. And on top of that, this will support 3200 RAM and overclocking on the CPU. Going with the RAM, we went with Corsair Vengeance LPX 16GB at 3000 megahertz because Ryzen benefits from a faster RAM, and this stuff was definitely the best price compared to any other RAM on the market. So this was the stuff to go with. We wanted 16 gigabytes because 8 isn't nearly enough for streaming and encoding, so that's why we went with 16. And then in the future, we can still throw another 16 in it if that's needed. For the storage on this computer, I wanted to go with a solid state 100%. I would never build a computer without a solid state, even a super budget build, because you can get a really cheap 120 gig and it just makes the system so much more usable. Even an old system, throwing an SSD in, it just makes it a breeze compared. So I would never even consider not putting an SSD in this. So we went with a 250 gig just to keep it a little cheaper, not really playing too many different games. So it's more than enough for just a few games and Windows and some editing stuff. On top of that, we went with a 2 terabyte hard drive for storing all of the recorded footage and all of that, because it doesn't need to be high performance. The system came out to about 370 watts of power use, so I went with this 500 watt power supply, and it is non-modular because I was able to hide all the cables, no problem, and it's way cheaper. So this was definitely the best bang for the buck. To maintain the yellow theme, we wanted to add a couple yellow LED fans, which actually were pretty hard to find, but they do look really good and they weren't that crazy priced, so it was definitely a good addition. So to wrap this whole project together, I went with the Fantech P4000 case. This case has a nice side window and it comes with built-in RGB, so that'll work really well with our yellow fan and RGB motherboard. The RGB can cycle through a whole bunch of different colors, as you can see here. The next thing is it has intake filters, one on the top, and that's if you're running a radiator on the top, and then it has 2 in the front, which you can remove and clean. And this just allows for a positive pressure case, so we have 3 intake and 1 exhaust fan, and that way we're going to keep most of the dust out. So just to do some comparisons, I did some benchmarking. I did it in the Heaven benchmark as well as Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So starting off with Shadow of the Tomb Raider benchmarking, we ran the first score with no recording at all, so no OBS or Shadow Play, and we were able to get a peak of 122, but our overall score is 100 FPS. And then comparing this to our OBS recording, we got an average of 89 with the peak of 106. And then comparing to the Shadow Play recording, it got an average of 98.5 with a peak of 117. So this is much better than OBS, but it's not nearly as powerful of a program, so it uses less resources. Taking a look back at all these, a 10 FPS drop to the base isn't a huge drop. Obviously, you're going to lose a bit of resources no matter what recording software you use. So this isn't a horrible drop, but obviously the only way to have 0 drop is to have a capture card and a second stream PC. So starting with the Heaven benchmark test, this was at stock core clock, both video and CPU. The stock is 3.2 gigahertz, and I do overclock it to 3.5, just a mild overclock because it's still the stock cooler, and the video card is just a slight overclock as well. Now looking at the stock speeds, with no recording, we hit a 131, with OBS 123, so that's about the same FPS drop as Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Not quite as much, but a little bit. And actually Shadow Play dropped almost as much as OBS did this time, so I thought that was a really interesting comparison. Now let's apply the 300 megahertz overclock to the CPU and the mild overclock to the GPU and compare some results. So the non-recording overclock gets a few FPS boost. The main thing here is the minimum gets a 5 FPS boost, and that's when you always notice the biggest problem in a game is when the FPS drops in the bad areas. So this is definitely a good improvement. And now looking at the OBS overclocked, this one I really don't understand why it was slightly lower. I'm wondering if it had something to do, maybe the computer was doing something during this trial. I don't have a clue, but it actually lost 0.8 FPS. Now, that being said, the minimum still had about a 5 FPS jump though, and now the shadow play overclock is a few FPS over again. So overall, this is definitely a good little boost of performance for recording, as you can see in these results. So now looking at some actual recorded footage from the computer. This is Battlefield 1, and it actually plays pretty well. You can see the FPS sitting at about 60. That being said, I'm used to playing at like 120 to 160 FPS, so you can tell a big difference here when playing, and even when you turn off recording, you can definitely tell a performance improvement. But this is definitely watchable footage. Like, you could definitely record and play new titles on this, but it's not going to be high FPS, that's for sure. I'd say that Battlefield 1, typically the Battlefield games are more GPU intensive, so a 1060 is a pretty good card to begin with, so it's not a surprise that this is capable of doing this. But if you're going to try to stream 1080p, this is going to be a bit of a struggle, I would say. But for just recording and making some videos, this is more than capable. It's so funny shooting the fire guy with the anti-tank. And then here's some PUBG. Just, again, it's PUBG at this point in time. This is late 2017. It was definitely not as optimized as it is now, but again, this is very easily watchable footage. It definitely works fine. This is the good old third-person days. The first-person play is way better now. I can't believe that I played this so much in third person. Like the good old prone in the grass is not doable anymore in first person. So this is just some deathmatch in CSGO. There's absolutely no problem running this game and recording at the same time, but this is not a difficult game to run anyways. You see, we're still getting 200 FPS and stuff. It's definitely hard to go to a different computer, especially going from like 165 hertz to a 60 hertz monitor and a different mouse and everything. It was tough playing these games, but obviously I would get used to it had I was constantly playing on this computer. But again, no problem recording it, and yeah. Overall, for I think it was about 1,300 for the tower Canadian at the time when prices were horrible. It worked out really well and got some good sales and everything. But yeah, so that's the build. A couple pictures of it. My setup when I was testing it, and then this is Dbrunski's setup. The first day I took it over for him and we got it all going. Here we go.
Well guys, there you have it. That wraps up my budget streaming and video editing PC. Again, thank you so much to Kozagon for putting the work to build this PC from scratch for me. Again, my channel would not exist if it was not for the work that he put in. Now, as far as this style of video, if you guys like it, I do plan on making a streaming room setup video where you can see everything in action, like OBS, my green screen, capture card, consoles, all that cool stuff that I have set up specifically for streaming and video editing. If that's something that you guys would like to see, please let me know in the comment section below and I will make that video. Other than that, guys, if you could throw a like on this video, share it, and even consider subscribing if you're new to my Diablo 2 channel. I post new weekly content and stream on a consistent basis, so there's always new stuff to look forward to, and your support with a sub would mean a lot. Other than that, guys, hope you have a fan-friggin-tastic day, and I'll see you in my next Diablo 2 video or live stream. Peace out.